Hey y'all, hello, this is Lauren from Mama's Learning Corner. Appreciate you watching today. Today's video is going to be on kindergarten phonics and what that looks like at our house. Or it doesn't necessarily apply to kindergarten only. It can apply to beginning readers, whether your beginning reader is in preschool or first grade if you have a little bit of a later reader. And so I'm going to just be showing you what I do with my, my kindergartner. I have a boy who is 5, and he was 5 back in February, and it's now September, so he's 5.5. And I would say that he is a pretty typical reader based on my experience with my own children. I've had some that read at 4, and I hardly had to do anything to teach them to read. And then I have several that were much later readers that didn't read fluently till 7 and 8. So I feel like he's more of a typical reader in terms of age. So let's take a look at what we're doing. Before I show you what we do each morning, currently I want to introduce myself to you quickly if this is your first time here at my YouTube channel. My name is Lauren and I blog at Mama's Learning Corner. Blog there about 11 years. Lots of learning ideas, curriculum, advice and reviews and that type of thing. We're in our 13th year of homeschooling, 13th year of homeschooling. So I feel like there's lots of reviews there for you to choose from of things we've done over the years. I have 5 children from kindergarten all the way up to 12th grade. Those are my 2 boys. And then I have 3 girls in the middle, 6th, 8th, and 10th grade. So very full and busy house, but very, very good. Very good, but full of chaos. And so if you have watched any of my videos at all, you'll see that I have this brand new microphone, which I'm so tickled about that you'll be able to hear me better. So yay. So I thought I would do a few videos now and periodically during our kindergarten year to show you what phonics looks like as we progress through. I hope I'll be able to do that. I hope I'll remember to do that. But today I thought that I would show you what this looks like at the beginning, very beginning reader stage. So the first thing that my son and I do each morning, and I showed you this on my kindergarten curriculum video, is we start with Kickstart Kindergarten from Handwriting Without Tears. So this is the in-between book. They call it Transitional Kindergarten. This is the in-between book for the preschool and the kindergarten year. The preschool is green, kindergarten's orange. And so this is supposed to be like a little bridge in between. And my son certainly needed that. I realize this isn't a handwriting video. This is a phonics video, but those things go hand in hand. Phonics, handwriting, all of that. So we're currently using we're currently doing 2 to 3 letters a day. I'll have a different video on what exactly we do for handwriting. But of course, all of that is integrated with phonics. We talk about what makes the H sound like an H, what words sound like a K, what words end with that sound. So I still do a lot of phonics work while we're doing handwriting or preparing to do handwriting. But I'll have a whole nother video about how I do that. Takes literally, I don't know, 8 minutes a day to do handwriting and 10 minutes maybe with the other activities that I have planned with this. So that's always first. And then second, we get into our more nitty-gritty type phonics work. Now this year I'm using the First Start Reading program from Memoria Press. Now I have never used the kindergarten, like way at the very beginning of phonics. I picked up with Memoria Press phonics when my last girl was, I think, 7. But we started in their first grade level. And I truly think I attribute that to her learning how to read. There was a very good mix of phonics and handwriting, like writing the words. That was exactly what she needed to solidify phonics and reading in her brain. So I've never used the kindergarten level. But the kindergarten level are books A through D. So this is book A, and then you work up through D through the rest of the school year. So it comes with a workbook and it comes with these little readers. Now the readers are the same little stories that are in the workbook. It just puts it in a little cute story format with illustrations. I really like these. I feel, is it a necessity? No, but I like them and I think they're a good little thing, good little book for him to hold in his hands and read himself, you know, as I sit beside him. It's different than a piece of paper somehow. So we start with our book A. Now, the lesson plans for that I get from the kindergarten, excuse me, I'm going to pull it off the shelf. I get from the kindergarten curriculum manual. Now, you can download just the phonics lesson plans if you aren't choosing to do the whole entire Memorial Press curriculum. And you can absolutely do their phonics as a standalone. If I didn't do any other piece of Memorial Press, you could absolutely do as a standalone and have the full curriculum. But I look here on the phonics line of the weekly lesson plans, and that's how I know what I'm doing for the week. You can also download just the lesson plans. I think they're $12. So that's great to have it all laid out for you. And then you just print them on your printer at home. So on Sunday night, I go through and figure out what we're doing for the week in phonics. And it takes me probably, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes maybe. I haven't ever really timed it, but that would be my guess is 15 or 20 minutes. So then I gather all the things that we're going to need for the week. So this is the workbook that the students work in, and you'll see like lesson 13 is the lesson T, and then the teaching portion of this is located in the spiral bound teacher's manual. So lesson T, and then lesson 14 would be using that lesson T with various words that they assign, rat, sat. They also introduce the common words this, that. So those are what those types of lessons are what we're gonna work on each day. We work on one lesson each day. I've tried to speed it up a little bit, but no reason to speed it up. This is a really good pace for him. Now, as you saw when I opened up the book though, there is quite a bit of writing. My boy is not a fan of writing. See, like this would be for the letter F. And there's quite a bit of writing on that page. And then on the next page where they put the letter F in a word, there's lots of writing there. Lots of the teacher prompts are, now we're ready to write. So my boy doesn't like writing very much. He struggles with that. It uses up all of his stamina. He's my third child like this, so it's no surprise to me. And now I know how to work with it. So I know that there's only a certain amount of handwriting that he's got the ability for each day. I use that on handwriting without tears, so he learns how to form letters correctly. Occasionally, we will do the writing in the book. And so then you're saying, well, what else are you doing during phonics time? Because there needs to be other activities besides just reading, in my opinion. But take that with a grain of salt. But in my opinion, there needs to be more than just that. So I'm going to show you some other things that we do in addition to reading in his workbook, but in place of the writing. So First Start Reading from Memorial Press also includes these phonics worksheets from Core Skills. It's just like a workbook that you can order from Amazon. But they've picked out the pages from Core Skills that go with their reading curriculum. So if you have extra practice that's needed, then pull from these. The ones that are circling, like circle the correct sound, circle the rhyming sound that matches, which words begin with F, circle those. We do some of that, not all of it, but we do some of that. And then I supplement with some other things that I'm going to show you here. So I literally, on that Sunday evening, afternoon, when I plan school, I figure out what we're doing based on the First Start Reading plans from Memorial Press. And then I copy down 2 or 3 things that are more hands-on that I'm going to do with him during the week. And I pick like 3. So I have them written on a list that I just keep at the front of my notebook. I choose a different 2 or 3 each week, just to like keep it fresh. So this week we are doing short A clip cards. So these are just little cards that I made a long time ago. And so it's got a picture, and then you take a clothespin and figure out which word matches the picture. Now, I intentionally only have 2 words on them because like his little stamina, he just doesn't have a lot of stamina yet. So we do maybe 4 of these, 5, 6 of these. Like here's another one. So it's a picture of a man, and you have to choose which word matches the picture the best. And then you put your clothespin on it. Easy. So we're doing that this week. On a different day, we're doing these rhyming mats that I made several weeks ago. So the word is tap, and then you have these little pictures, and then you match the picture, the rhyme, it's a rhyming match, I'm sorry. So you pick the picture that rhymes and choose that and then put it in the right one. So there's 4 different sounds: fin, tap, met, and hug. So that's a little activity we do each day. Well, not each day, probably twice this week we've done it. So this is one that I just made up on the fly because I realized like handwriting just wasn't going to go well for that day. So I know that you can't see it very well, but on the left side of the page, I wrote letters in black. And then on the right side of the page, I wrote letters in orange. So on the black side, this is a do-a-dot marker, like a bingo dauber marker. So for the black letters, he was to listen for the beginning sound. So for the letter G, I said gorilla, and he has to dot which letter makes that beginning sound. The letter S was, I don't remember, super. So super has this sound. And then for the orange side, those were words that ended with that sound. So for F, the word was puff. So he has to listen for that ending, which is a little bit harder. And so we did this activity most every day this week. And then the other one is I wrote down words from the reader that he's currently reading in. These are the words that they're trying to get you very familiar with in those beginning stages. I just wrote them on a piece of paper, and then I would say the word sat. And so he dabs it with his little do-a-dot marker, or the word hat, and then he dabs it. He really likes this because, so he's a boy that doesn't like to sit in a seat very much, and so he can stand up while he's doing it. He can move all around like he needs to do at 5. To do that, where, sitting and holding a pencil, that requires a lot more effort to be still and have a steady hand. And, he's just a 5-year-old boy. So we do a little bit of that. And then I try and make the other things as much as possible more activity and hands-on related. So those are the 3 activities we've done in addition to the workbook portion here. So there's only a little bit of writing in this book from him because that's not where I want his writing stamina to be right now. We'll work into more writing, but that's where it's at right now. And so far, so good. I don't know if I told you or not, but I think we're in the 5th or 6th. I think maybe this is the 6th week of school. So I feel like our routine is pretty good down pat. Once I figured out that I needed to pull way back on the writing requirement, the physical act of writing requirement, our day has vastly, vastly improved. So just to recap, we do handwriting first, 10 minutes maybe, if I pull out all the things that we're going to use that are hands-on. We do this first. We do the activities in this book, and the teaching comes from the teacher's manual. These books look very plain. However, there's other teaching, oral teaching that goes with it that you get from the teacher's manual. And I get the lesson plans from the kindergarten phonics lesson plans that I downloaded or have in the curriculum manual there. That's where you get those. So handwriting, and then this is next. And then we do some type of hands-on activity. So clip cards or the rhyming mats, or the papers where he dots. And then today he realized he could make a big H. His name starts with H. So this was today's work. So that takes us probably, I'd say 25 minutes at the most. If I feel like we still have a little bit more phonics work to do, we'll go get a snack, we'll go outside, we'll go sit on the porch a few minutes, and then we'll come back and do something else. But his attention span's really little. Really small, really short. So, there's only so much I can expect out of him. So I have a really detailed post on my website about this, but I want to share with you very quickly how I learned to even teach phonics to my children. So my first boy read at 4. I did hardly anything. And then reading with my second and fourth girls was more challenging. I realized that I had to really step up my game and teach myself how to teach reading, how to teach phonics. So I'm just going to briefly show you resources that I've used to teach myself. I don't have a teacher background. I was a nurse for a long time, and I don't have an education background. So if there's an area that my children need extra help in, I have to teach myself before I can teach them. I wish there was just one resource that had all these things, and maybe there is and I just don't know about it. If there is, leave it in the comments below for other mothers. I used All About Spelling for years with my older children. And it has so many excellent teaching tips along the way. It's scripted. And then it also tells the teacher the why behind things. Although I don't use All About Spelling now, I still absolutely love it. We use the letter tiles all the time. What I learned about digraphs and how to break words down into syllables, how to the different letter sounds that each letter makes, even though some aren't super obvious. I learned most of that from All About Spelling. It's an excellent resource. In fact, I wish that All About Spelling or All About Learning, that's their overall company, I wish that they had one solid resource that condensed all of their teaching, like as a help for moms. That's a really good idea. Another resource that I've used over and over and over are the ABCs and all their tricks. So the first beginning of this has to do absolutely with letter sounds in English, particularly how there's exceptions in English. Sometimes the exceptions follow a rule, sometimes they don't. The difference between digraphs, trigraphs, vowel teams, consonant teams, a lot of that, what I have learned about that has come from All About Reading, All About Spelling, and this book right here. Learning how to break words down into word chunks, breaking the sound down into word chunks, that's really helpful. And so then the whole back of the book is the sound of a word and then examples of that sound. So this one on this side is the letter K, the letter C, as it makes the K sound. And then this one is the CH as in chicken. Now, if you turn the page, it's going to be, CH as in K, like in Christmas or school. So, and then it gives you a list of words to practice that. So I think that is really, really helpful. If you're familiar at all with how to teach spelling, it's a very old curriculum, very old book. I also learned a lot about putting words into groups based on that type of teaching, phonetic teaching. That was a really helpful book also. I moved from All About Spelling to traditional spelling with my fourth girl. That's when it first came out. And like I said, she had to write something in order for it to be cemented in her brain. And traditional spelling is so beautiful. I love this curriculum. This is level 2. I've currently got my level 1, it's orange. I've got my level 1 out on loan to somebody, so I can't show it to you. But it's absolutely an excellent phonetic approach to spelling. And it has a lot of teaching for mothers that don't have a background in that type of, so lots of teaching on each page, lots for parents, lots of teaching in the back, and syllable rules, suffix rules, spelling rules, all the rules. They're just right here in a beautiful little book for you. That taught me a lot in how to teach phonics specifically, not just spelling, because it's all intertwined. And lastly, this is an excellent little book, Classical Phonics. The first time I looked at it, I was like, I don't know why I'm never going to use this. This seems silly to me. But that was my ignorance showing. So I often get yanked back when I've been more informed about something and realize I've made like a hasty judgment. That happens often to me, sadly. But the beginning of the book is the traditional alphabet sounds, like P as in P, O, that it makes the O sound as well as ah. And then examples, and there's word lists with each one. But then more towards the back of the book, it's word lists for specific sounds. And so it starts out really easy with like CVC words, and then it moves to like digraphs, trigraphs, consonant teams, bossy R type words. I don't think they call them in this. They call them R controlled here, but and then examples of those. And so then you just read down through the word list. So this wasn't so much teaching as it was helpful with this type of book with the word lists, So when I have a child that struggles with this particular sound and this particular spelling, here are other words that are just like it. So I find that to be really helpful. In my experience, one of the best things that you can do as a homeschool mother is continue to educate yourself on how to best educate your children. So if you are the one that's responsible for their education, and we all are, whether we send them to public school, traditional school, private school, or homeschool, whatever that looks like, online school, we still, like, the buck stops with us. And so it's our responsibility to make sure that as many of the bases as possible are covered. So for me personally, like I said, I don't have a background in teaching education, so I have to really teach myself. And I feel like one of the best, most worthwhile things you can do as a homeschool mother is educate yourself. If you're not that great at math, find a math curriculum that can hold your hand. Had a whole lot of that because I'm not very good at math. If there's big holes in your own education, you kind of have to fill those first before you can start teaching others. So do you have to teach yourself first? No, I don't think you have to. I think that the Lord can use you in all of your imperfections and all the ways, all the things that you don't know. I'm living proof of that. I had not such a hot education looking back on it, and the Lord has used me to teach my children every day. If I had never read anything supplementary in order to help myself teach them, I think the Lord would still take that and run with it and bless it. I absolutely do. However, I feel a responsibility to educate myself on how to educate my children. I want the very best for them. And so in our home, this is what it looks like. I read a lot so I can teach them. But please don't take that as a condemnation or a ridicule or a critique. That may not be the season of life that you're in. And if it is not, if you are in a season of life where you work full-time, part-time, where you have a lot of children and you feel overwhelmed, where you're caring for an aging parent, where you volunteer a lot of time at your local church or some other ministry, if it's not a season for you to educate yourself a lot, then that is okay. And the Lord will take all of that and you just give it into His hands and He will take it and multiply it and bless it. I'm a firm believer in that because it's happened to me over and over. There are seasons I have a lot of time to read, and then there's seasons I don't have any time to read much at all. And so I just ask the Lord, please take it and fill in the gaps where there are gaps, because there always will be. So please don't take that as a condemnation if you're not reading every single night to figure out how to teach your children better. There's a time and place for that. I do think it's very worthwhile. So probably the best thing to do is to pray and say, Lord, show me times. If this is what you want me to be doing in this season of my life, please show me times that I can, little pockets of times that I can read. And please provide that for me. And He will. So I have to be back with another little update video with my boy in phonics, just to show you like what we do at our house. So hopefully maybe every 4 or 5 weeks, I'll try and add one of these little videos into the queue. I don't know how quickly he's going to progress. I feel like it's been a slow start the first 5 or 6 weeks of kindergarten, despite being very consistent every day, because consistency is really key with kindergarten and reading, particularly. Consistency, you have to have that daily. So I'm not sure how it's going to go. If there's an update in 4 or 5 weeks, I'll be happy to record one and show you what we're doing at that period of time. But tell me what's going on with your kindergartner in phonics, or maybe your preschooler in phonics, or first grader, second grader. So leave that down in the comments below and let's chit chat about that a little bit. Okay, I appreciate you watching. I'll see you later.